Hello everybody, my name is Rachel and welcome to my channel Kalanati. Today I'm going to review one of my most anticipated books of 2016, Too Like the Lightning by Ada Palmer. I received this as an ARC from NetGalley in exchange for a free and honest review, so thank you to the publisher. This is that free and honest review. Too Like the Lightning is the most incredibly unusual, unique political science fiction novel I have read so far. It has many threads that it will take time to untangle, and I would recommend setting aside some serious time to devour it because it takes focus and concentration to unravel and interpret everything that's going on in the story. To summarize this book, I would say that I understand it as a story of how sudden forces and political plots threaten to destabilize a utopia-like political system. It's like a love letter almost to classics and philosophy of the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, all transported to the 24th century in a bizarre but fantastic way. Mycroft Canner is one of the direst criminals in this utopian world. He is serving out his sentence in public servitude, and he is tasked with writing a history of the 7 days in which the world's political system of non-geographical hives slides towards collapse. A catalyst, a wild card, and amongst all of this that may destabilize everything eventually, is a young boy named Bridger who can bring inanimate objects to life. This is not explained, it just is, it is miraculous. Mycroft, Thisbe from the Sanner Weeksbooth family, and Carlisle, a spiritual advisor called a sensayer, are the only people who know about Bridger's ability, and they are trying to keep him safe and secret from people who might use his powers until he is ready or older and can face this challenge. At the beginning of the book, Mycroft is also present at the Sanner Weeksbooth Bash, or family group, when a 710 list is leaked. These 710 lists are put out periodically and they rank major political figures by their influence or even potential future power. The leaked list was written by a newcomer and it threatens to push the balance of the political party nations called hives across a precarious threshold from which there is no coming back. Mycroft narrates the parts of the story that he is physically present for, as well as those instances where he is not in attendance but he is listening to what's going on through people's trackers in their ears. This first book, Too Like the Lightning, is just the first couple of days in this week-long history, and the sequel, Seven Surrenders, is really just the second half of what is one book split into 2 volumes. What do I want to say about this book? We could be here all day because there's so much going on in this book. I think though that the plot, the 710 lists and Bridger's ability and how Mycroft is the connecting point between these 2 storylines isn't the most attention-getting thing about this book for me. What it does is lets Palmer use her world and her characters to comment on a lot of fantastic issues like gender, religion, politics, philosophy, world history, and of course technology. And is a utopia even possible? How would we get there? One of the most deliciously convoluted aspects of this story is the gender politics and how Mycroft slides back and forth between the socially acceptable neutral they pronoun, the real biological sex of characters, and his own choices for coding characters' gender depending on how he wants to present them to you, the reader. It is socially taboo in this world to display gendered traits. It is outright shocking to gender somebody with pronouns, but Mycroft does it anyway, which really goes to show you that in this world where gender is not supposed to matter anymore, actually it kind of does. It's still a very thorny issue and people may care a lot. That is just one taste of the issues that this novel touches on. The thing that I really want to talk about and react to is the writing style. This book starts off very, very slowly. Palmer has stated that it is intentionally written in the style of an 18th century memoir or philosophical novel, and that is very unusual, I think, for the modern reader or a modern reader of science fiction. The style was very hard for me to adjust to, and it took me until almost halfway through the book to really feel like I was getting into the story and understanding why it was all being told in this way. However, my appreciation for the depth of the world, the complexity and unreliability of the characters and the narrator, and a really mature depiction of incestuous world-level politics grew throughout the book. This doesn't fit into any mold I have read before, and I think that if you are able to embrace the style and the structure, you will find it easier going. There were moments when I thought the novel was getting too heavy or too dry, but then suddenly it was cool in really nerdy ways. For example, there's an entire chapter where all the dialogue is in Latin, not just an English translation, it's actual Latin on the page, and it is very important to the story and to the characters that they are speaking in Latin. Another thing that's very interesting is that Mycroft repeatedly breaks the fourth wall. There are many instances where the reader or someone else speaks to him in the familiar form with these and thous and counters or castigates him for his statements, his actions, or the fashion in which he is telling the story, such as gendering people when he's not supposed to. Initially, I wasn't sure that I liked these instances of breaking the fourth wall because they're written in that familiar style, which was unusual even in the context of this already unusual novel. I just couldn't quite get into them until I started to appreciate what they were telling you. I think that a lot of this story and its importance and what's going on is embedded in the fact that it is Mycroft telling the story, the way in which he engages with his own narration, and the fact that he might be an unreliable narrator. People who love philosophy, historical fiction, politics, and of course science fiction will all find something to enjoy in this book. If you liked the treatment of gender and sometimes religion in Anne Leckie's Imperial Raj series, or the celebration of ancient classics and philosophy in Jo Walton's Thessaly series, then you absolutely need to try this new series. By the end of this book, I felt like I had climbed a mountain, was exulting at the peak, and really needed the next book. Too Like the Lightning is out from Tor on May 10th, and its sequel, Seven Surrenders, comes out in December 2016, so if, like me, you love this book and you can't wait for more, you don't have too much longer to wait. Thank you very much for watching this review. If you want to discuss this book, please comment down below because I would love to hear from you. Bye.